And I mean that in the most specific, literal sense, not in the casual, forgettable way, not in the passing, moved on by tomorrow way, in the way that gets underneath your skin and quietly stays. And this is not just a reading about attraction. It is about what they are drawn to specifically and why it has them genuinely off balance. Because it is not what you would probably expect. It is not the surface things, not the obvious things, not the parts of yourself you put the most effort into curating. It is two very specific things about you that are genuinely unusual. Two things that set you apart in a way that this particular person, with everything they have seen and every type of person they have encountered, has genuinely never come across before. And those two very specific things have them quietly and completely mesmerized. We are going to get into both of them in detail. But first, let's look at who this person is and what their world looks like. Let's pull first card. And the star is immediately telling me something very specific about how this person experiences you. The star is not a loud card. It is not dramatic. It does not announce itself. It is the card of something that, without any announcement, quietly takes your breath away. The kind of thing you genuinely don't have words for in the moment. You just feel it somewhere real. And then you spend time afterward trying to understand exactly what it was. There is something about you that operates completely differently than what they are used to. Something that cuts straight through the noise of their world without trying. And in the specific world this person moves through, there is a tremendous amount of noise. High profile means high exposure, constant stimulation, a lot of people performing in their direction, a lot of people working hard to be the one who gets noticed. And then there is you, not performing for them, not adjusting yourself to be seen, not managing how you land, just existing in a way that reaches them more directly than anything constructed ever could. The star also carries this energy of this person being a source of something without being aware they are doing it. And I feel like that is directly connected to one of the two unusual things they are drawn to in you. The way your presence operates on the people around you without you engineering a single part of it. And this person, who has been surrounded by effort and performance for a very long time, recognizes real effortlessness the moment it appears. It is rare, it is genuinely rare in the world they move through, and they have noticed it clearly in you. Next card, Knight of Wands. And the Knight of Wands is specifically the card of this person being activated. This is the card of this person moving at their usual speed, in their usual direction, and then something coming along that shifts the frequency of everything. And I feel like that is precisely what you have done to this person without even trying. Something about you has switched something on in them that the rest of their world simply does not touch. A curiosity, a pull, an energy that moves in a direction that attraction in their normal world simply does not. Because attraction in itself is not new territory for this person, people are drawn to them consistently. They are drawn to people. This is genuinely not unfamiliar ground for them, but what they feel when you enter their thoughts has a completely different quality to it. A different texture, something that doesn't quite fit with how they usually experience wanting to know this person. Something slightly disorienting in the best possible way. Like they reach for the familiar category and it keeps moving, slipping out of reach. And that inability to place you is itself one of the things pulling them closer. Last card, Seven of Cups. And the Seven of Cups is showing me exactly what happens inside this person when you cross their mind. They think about you in multiple layers at once. Who you are on the surface, who they sense is underneath that, what your world actually looks like from the inside, what a real conversation with you would turn into. They run through possibilities, not strategically, but in the involuntary way that happens when this person has genuinely, unexpectedly caught your full attention. The kind of thinking that says, I want to understand this. I need to get closer to this. I am not done with this yet. And this person, who is genuinely not easily caught by anyone or anything, has been caught by two very specific things about you. Now we get into the two things, the two specific, unusual things about you that have this high-profile person completely unable to look away. And I want to name them carefully because they are not what most people would point to. They are not your looks, not your talent, not your accomplishments, not the things you have built or produced. They are something much quieter than any of that. Something most people would walk right past without noticing. Something that operates underneath the surface of everything you consciously present. First card for this part, the High Priestess, and the High Priestess is immediately, clearly naming the first unusual thing. I feel like this card is pointing directly to the way you know things you were never explicitly told. The way you walk into a space and read the entire energetic texture of it before a single word has been spoken. The way you can sit across from this person and sense what is actually happening inside them, not what they are presenting, not the carefully constructed version they offer everyone else. The real thing underneath, and because most people this person encounters are genuinely not reading them at all. Most people see the image, the status, the carefully maintained surface, and they respond to that. They perform for the image. They adjust their entire behavior around the status. They never reach the actual person underneath any of it, but you do. And I feel like this person has felt that maybe in a specific moment, maybe in the way you looked at them. Maybe in something you said that was too precise to be a coincidence, and they felt seen in a way they are genuinely not accustomed to, not observed, actually seen, not in a threatening way, in the way that something real and unexpected unsettles you, in the way that makes this person think, how did they know that? Who is this person? And why do I feel like they can see through everything I have spent years building? The High Priestess energy in you is not something you perform or announce. It is simply the way you are built. You receive information that other people filter out entirely. You track undercurrents. You notice the thing that was never actually said out loud. And to this person who has been surrounded by people who only ever see the surface, that quality is not just attractive, it is genuinely rare. It is the first of the two unusual things. Second card, the Fool. And I want to sit with this card for a second before I explain it, because the Fool is very easily misread. The Fool is not naivety. It is not ignorance. It is not wandering without direction. The Fool is the energy of this person being someone who has not yet been fully broken by the weight of what the world thinks of them. Simone who still moves through life with a kind of genuine freedom. Simone who takes up space in a way that is not calculated, not defended, not managed for audience. There is a freshness inside the Fool energy that most adults have quietly, gradually surrendered. And I feel like this is the second unusual thing. You carry it. And in the world this high-profile person moves through, absolutely everybody is managed. Everybody has a curated version, a PR version, a version that has been shaped and reshaped by consequence, by strategy, by the accumulated fear of being misread. Nobody genuinely moves freely. Nobody says the unguarded thing when they could say the safe thing instead. Nobody laughs without first checking whether it is the right moment to be seen laughing. But you do. And I feel like this person has witnessed that in you, a moment, or maybe more than one moment where you were simply and entirely yourself, unguarded, unmanaged, not performing anything, just fully present in the moment without any management happening. And to this person who lives inside the most carefully managed version of themselves almost every single hour, that is not just refreshing, it is almost incomprehensible. How do you do that? They have thought. How does this person move through the world without the armor? And the answer, which they are quietly and slowly arriving at, is that you have simply kept something that most people gradually lose. A quality of presence that genuinely cannot be acquired, learned, or imitated. It either survived in you through everything or it did not. And in you, remarkably, it all did. So this is what has this person mesmerized. Not a performance, not an achievement, not something you deliberately built or worked hard toward. The way you clearly see what everyone else completely misses. And the way you exist in a room without bracing, without armor, without managing a single thing about it. Two things that live at the core of who you actually are, both deeply quiet, both completely outside the currency and the language of the world this person moves through, and both absolutely entirely impossible to manufacture. Now we go entirely to their side because I want to show you what has actually been happening inside this person, what this is doing to them internally, what it is stirring up, and what they are quietly trying to figure out about you. First card for their inner world, the Emperor reversed. And the reversal here is significant because the Emperor upright is control, structure, certainty. It is this person at their most functional, commanding a room, managing outcomes, operating from a place of complete authority. That is the version of themselves they have refined over many years, and it is genuinely impressive. But the Emperor reversed is showing me what happens when that control slips. When this person encounters something they cannot organize, manage, or predict in any of their usual ways. And I feel like you are that thing. You have disrupted the system, not aggressively, not obviously, not in a way they could point to and say, here is the problem. Just quietly, by being exactly who you are, you have introduced a variable their usual framework cannot account for. And for this person specifically, that is a rare and genuinely destabilizing experience because they are completely accustomed to being the most interesting presence in every room they enter, accustomed to being the one that other people work to understand, try to reach, try to get closer to. And here you are. And they are the one doing the reaching now. That does not happen often for this person. They are the one who cannot quite figure you out, and they cannot seem to stop trying. And they are the one who keeps thinking about a person instead of the other way around. And that shift in dynamic is doing something genuinely real and unfamiliar to them. Something they have not fully named yet, but feel with surprising clarity. Next card, Knight of Cups. And the Knight of Cups is showing me the private, unguarded version of this person. The one that exists underneath the public-facing version most people only ever encounter. And I feel like you have genuinely touched something in that private version of them. I feel like there is a romantic current running through what they feel about you. Not casual, not calculated, not strategic. Something that moves the way real feeling moves when it is not being managed or directed. When it rises up on its own and you cannot redirect it or schedule it or decide when it is appropriate. I feel like they think about what it would be like to actually know you. Not know of you, not observe you from a comfortable distance. To sit somewhere with you, no performance required from either of you, and just actually talk to have genuine access to the version of you that does not get shown to the rest of the world. And what they imagine in those quiet moments surprises even them, because this person is genuinely not accustomed to wanting something they do not already have access to. They are deeply accustomed to proximity, to being able to reach what they want. And with you, there is a gap, a space between where they are and where they would need to be to actually have you. And rather than closing the gap with their usual methods with access and resources and status, they are finding that none of those tools are the right ones here, because what they want from you cannot be acquired. It can only be offered, and that is a new position for them to be in. Last card, Ace of Swords. And the Ace of Swords is the card of a sharp, clear truth arriving, something cutting through confusion, something becoming undeniably visible. And I feel like this is the internal moment this person is approaching. A moment of clarity about what they actually feel and what they actually want. Because right now there is still some distance between the feeling and the full acknowledgement of the feeling. They know something is there. They have felt it move in them consistently without being able to redirect or quiet it. But naming it, committing to it, deciding what to do with it, that is the edge they are standing at. The Ace of Swords says that edge is coming to a point, that the moment of full clarity is genuinely very close. Now, that soon this person is going to have to look directly at what they feel and decide. Do they move toward it? Do they reach across the gap? Do they do the thing that this person, for perhaps the first time in a long time, is genuinely uncertain about how to do because they do not know how you will receive them? Outside of the world where access and status give them an advantage, on the even ground where you both stand, they do not know if they are simply enough. And that kind of uncertainty is genuinely not something this person carries very often. But they are carrying it now quietly, and it surfaces every time you cross their mind. And it is part of why they cannot stop thinking about you. Now we look at what is actually about to happen between you, because this has been building for long enough. The holding pattern is ending, and something is about to break through the surface of all of it. First card, Wheel of Fortune. And the Wheel of Fortune here is significant because it is telling me that the timing has moved out of anyone's control. This is not a card about effort or planning or strategy. It is not about this person finally making a calculated decision to act or you doing something to specifically invite it. It is about a natural, unavoidable turn that happens because the energy between you has built to the point where it genuinely cannot stay contained any longer. The cycle has completed enough. Something is turning now. And I feel like something very specific is about to visibly shift in how this person moves in your direction. Something in the way they approach you, or reach towards you, or position themselves in relation to you is about to noticeably change. The careful distance they have been maintaining, the measured and deliberate pace, the watching from a studied remove, all of that begins to close, not dramatically, not all at once, but noticeably, in a way you will feel before it is named. There is also something the wheel is showing me about your public visibility, because this high profile person being drawn to you is not an isolated event. It is part of a much larger turning, a much wider recognition of who you are and what you genuinely carry. And I feel like around this same time, other people begin to notice you differently as well. Not just this one high profile person. The recognition is broader than that. Something about how you exist in the world begins to register on a completely different frequency to more people. A platform grows, an opportunity opens, a door that has been sitting closed begins to move. Because the Wheel of Fortune never turns in only one area of your life. When it turns across the board. And this is specifically your season for that kind of wide turning next card, the Chariot. And the Chariot is specifically the card of deliberate, focused, forward movement. Of this person arriving with complete and conscious clarity at the decision to close the gap between where they are and where you are. That whatever has been holding them in the watching phase, whether uncertainty, strategy, or the fear of how you would respond, they are choosing to move past all of it. And I feel like this person is going to initiate something more direct than anything they have done before. Not a hint, not a subtle signal that can be read multiple ways, not something you have to spend time deciphering. Something genuinely clear and intentional. Something where their intention is genuinely visible to you. And I feel like that moment is arriving in this actual season. The Chariot also speaks to this person being in complete control of their approach. They are not going to stumble into this or be forced into it by circumstance. They are going to choose it consciously and deliberately. They are going to decide that the version of themselves that stays silent is worse than the version that acts without knowing how it lands. And that decision is already quietly forming inside them right now. The only thing that remains at this point is the actual deliberate execution of it. Last card, Three of Wands. And the Three of Wands is the image of this person standing on elevated ground, looking ahead, watching something they have set in motion begin to arrive. And I feel like this card is showing me two distinct things happening at the same time. For this person, it is the energy of finally being fully in motion, watching the distance between them, and you genuinely begin to close. The waiting phase is over for this person, and they are completely ready to actually move. But the Three of Wands is also speaking directly to you. It is the card of expansion, of your world growing outward in ways that are real and increasingly visible. Of something you have been quietly and consistently building, beginning to reach much further than it has before. And I feel like both of those things, this person stepping forward and your world expanding, are happening at the exact same time. You're going to become significantly more visible right around the same exact time this person makes their actual move. And that growing visibility is precisely what creates the conditions for them to finally and decisively reach toward you. Because you will be undeniably and visibly present in a way that simply cannot be ignored. undeniably real in their world in a way that watching from a careful distance will no longer feel sustainable, and they will not be able to justify the distance they have been keeping. The gap closes, the move is finally made, and what follows from that moment belongs entirely to both of you. This part is about what has never been said, the things this person feels about you that live entirely below the surface of every interaction. The confessions that exist inside them fully formed that have not found their way out yet. Let's pull first card, the moon. And the moon is immediately telling me something about the nature of what this person carries around you. The moon is the card of what lives in the unlit spaces. The feelings that move underneath the surface of the day, the ones that only come up when everything else has gone completely quiet. And I feel like that is where so much of what this person feels about you actually lives. Not in the moments where they are in control, not in the interactions where they are composed and high functioning, in the quiet, unguarded spaces, in the moments between the things that fill their days. When the version of them that the world encounters has finally been set down. And what surfaces in those quiet spaces when you are what comes to mind is not small. I feel like this person has a depth of feeling about you that they have genuinely not allowed themselves to fully acknowledge, even privately. There is something about the way you exist that disturbs their usual equilibrium in a way they find very hard to rationalize or explain. And I feel like one of the things they have never said, not out loud and not even internally with full clarity, is something like this. You are the first person in a very long time who makes them feel like the status does not matter. Like all the things they have built and achieved and accumulated are genuinely not what is interesting about them when they are around you. Like they could be anyone, have done anything or nothing at all, and still be completely and utterly held by whatever it is you bring. That is a profoundly destabilizing thing to feel when your entire identity has been constructed around achievement and accomplishment, and they have not said any of that, but it is completely and entirely there, living underneath everything. Next card, Five of Cups, and the Five of Cups here is not a sad card in the way it usually reads. In this position, I feel like it is pointing to something very specific in this person's past, a loss, a connection, something that mattered deeply and simply did not go the way they needed it to go. Something that left a mark, and I feel like something very specific about you reminds them of a feeling that existed before that loss. Not of the actual person who was lost, but of the feeling that existed inside them before things became complicated. Before the armor, before they understood what it costs to love something that can be taken, and there is a part of this person that connects something about you with a feeling of genuine possibility, of things feeling wide open, of the version of the world they knew before they learned that certain things cannot be recovered once they are gone. And that association is not something they would name out loud because naming it would require acknowledging how much was genuinely lost and how long they have been quietly carrying it. What they carry around you in that private space is something like hope, not naive hope, not the hope of someone who hasn't been burned. The hope of someone who has lived long enough to understand exactly what it costs to let yourself have it. Fragile, specific, quietly enormous. Last card, the Lovers. And the Lovers in this position is the most direct confession in the entire reading. Because the Lovers is not just connection, it is the card of recognition. Of this person looking at you and feeling something quietly click into place that they did not even know was out of alignment. I feel like what they have genuinely never said and what lives deepest in them around this connection is a version of this. You make me want to be the person who actually does this right. Not the version of themselves who watches and waits and strategizes. The version who chooses clearly, who moves honestly, who does not let something real pass them by because the risk felt too large. I also feel something specifically physical in this card. There is a pull this person feels toward you that is genuinely not abstract or emotional only when you are near them or when you cross into their thinking. Something in their body registers you. Something settles and tightens inside them at exactly the same time. It is not something they have ever named, not out loud, and not entirely even to themselves, but it moves through them consistently and without being invited, and they have very much noticed. And what the Lovers is ultimately showing me is this person standing right on the edge of choosing, not choosing carefully or strategically, not choosing the version that feels controlled, choosing you specifically and deliberately in the full unguarded sense of that word. We are in the final part of this reading now, and I want to close it the way it genuinely deserves to be closed. Not with a vague feeling, not with general positive energy, with what is actually and specifically coming for you. First card, the Sunday. And when the Sunday comes out in this position, something settles in the reading. Because the Sunday is clarity, it is warmth, it is the card of the end of confusion. And what I feel when this card lands here is that the fog sitting around this connection is about to lift. The not knowing, the quiet uncertainty, the holding your breath without realizing it, that is ending now. The watching from a distance, the wondering what this is, the circling without landing anywhere, all of that is coming to a close. Something is going to become very clear between you and this person. Either something they do makes their intention impossible to miss, or something between you cracks open in a way that finally names what has been sitting there unnamed. Either way, the ambiguity between you resolves. And what replaces all of it is warmth, a real, felt, specific warmth. Something you feel in your body, not simply understand in your mind. And I also feel the Sunday speaking very directly about your public life in this reading, because this high profile person noticing you being caught by you is not the whole story. It is one very significant part of a much larger and wider pattern of recognition that is arriving for you. The Sunday says very clearly that you are about to be seen, not by this person only, but broadly, by people who genuinely did not know your name or your work before now, by a part of the world that has not yet encountered what you carry. And when that recognition arrives, it is going to feel genuinely different from anything that has come before it, because it is not going to be recognition of a performance. It is going to be recognition of the two specific and unusual things. The things this high profile person has already quietly and clearly seen in you. And the world is about to catch up to what this person was the first to notice. Next card, Nine of Pentacles. And the Nine of Pentacles is a card I love seeing close out a reading like this, because the Nine of Pentacles is someone standing completely in the fullness of what they have built. Someone who has cultivated something real, developed something that cannot be faked, and is now surrounded by the evidence of that. And I feel like that is exactly the energetic place you are actively moving into, not from outside recognition alone, from your own quiet internal arrival at a settled knowing. A knowing, a quiet certainty that the two things this person sees in you are not accidents. They are not things you stumbled into or got lucky with. They are the direct result of being someone who stayed completely true to themselves through things that would have genuinely changed most people. The Nine of Pentacles is also deeply a card of self-sufficiency, of not needing external validation to know your own worth. And I feel like that is specifically part of what this season is asking of you, to hold what you know about yourself independent of whether this person steps forward or not. To be rooted in your own value before the recognition from the outside world arrives, because the recognition is coming, but you will receive it better if you are not waiting for it to tell you who you are. You already know, you have genuinely always known. Last card, the world. And the world is the card I most want to see closing a reading like this. Because the world is completion. It is something that has been quietly in motion for a very long time, now finally coming full circle. And I feel like that is precisely what this season is for you. Something is completing, a chapter that has required a great deal of you, that has asked you to stay true to things that were not always immediately rewarded, is arriving at its natural resolution. And what follows from that resolution is genuine and lasting expansion. New people, new reach, new levels of recognition. A version of your life that is larger and more aligned than the one you have been living. And this high-profile person is part of that expansion, not as the entirety of what is coming, but as one genuinely significant piece of a much larger picture. They saw something completely, genuinely real in you, and the rest of the world is just now beginning to catch up to all of it. So here is what I want you to take from this reading. Stop minimizing the two things. Stop treating your perceptiveness as a strange quirk and your unguarded presence as something that needs to be managed or corrected. Those are the things that reach people. Those are the things that this high-profile person with access to everything and everyone genuinely cannot stop thinking about. You are not too much. You are not unusual in the way that needs to be fixed. You are unusual in the way that genuinely and deeply matters. Not with a vague feeling, not with general positive energy, with what is actually and specifically coming for you. First card, the Sunday. And when the Sunday comes out in this position,